It will depend on a number of things. It will depend on the United Nations, how quickly, how soon are they ready to come to Syria. It will depend on the agreement, which sites they want to visit first. It will probably depend also on the situation on the ground, because as you know, the war is still raging in Syria. But to my mind, and basically that's what we think in Moscow, the most important thing is to have the general agreement of all sides for this solution, because 2 days ago, actually 1 day ago, we were on the brink of a big regional war, and the stakes were extremely high. Today we have a working proposal by the Russian Foreign Ministry, which seems to have been accepted by President Obama, by James Cameron, by the European Union, by Ban Ki-moon, the General Secretary of the United Nations, and by Damascus. So I think that now we have to strengthen this general agreement. We cannot allow to those who would like to strike Syria at any cost to come back to this military plan.
Let me take you back 24 hours. Was this plan inspired by the words of John Kerry yesterday?
As far as we can judge, and as far as we can trust what President Obama said, he discussed this possible option with President Putin during their short meeting on the G20. So as far as I understand, this was aired even before John Kerry mentioned this possibility. As for John Kerry's remark, I have to say that it was a very unconvincing remark, I would say, because he said that if Assad agrees to bring his chemical arsenals under international control, America would consider the possibility of not striking. And then he said, but of course it will never happen, because we don't trust Assad and he will never do this. And 1 hour later, the State Department basically denied what Kerry said, and they said that it was a rhetorical sentence. Kerry just was thinking aloud about some possible scenarios about which the American side is extremely skeptical. And then Susan Rice, the Obama's assistant on national security, said it will never happen. Just don't think it is possible. It's just completely impossible, out of the question. So Americans first aired this idea and then started to play back. And it took Obama's personal appearance on ABC in the evening to hear that the American side will agree for such a scenario. So I would be really at pain to point out that John Kerry as the author of this idea.
The French say they want a resolution under Chapter 7 of the UN saying force may be used if Syria doesn't comply with handing over its chemical weapons. Do you accept that?
I don't think Syria will not comply. I think it's absolutely in the interests of the Syrian people, of the Syrian government, and of President Assad to bring those weapons under international control.
But what if they don't? Would you then agree to the resolution?
I would not venture that far, because I don't see any signs that would preclude them from doing this, and I don't see any interest of the Syrian government to do this. So the French government wants to sound very resolved and decisive and so on, actually playing a very minor role in the whole story. Paris shows himself as a big warrior. Well, it's up to them, but I think that all those assertions do not look credible for me, because the Syrian government wants to prevent this war, and we want to prevent this war, and so I don't think they will not apply.
Let's talk about the practicalities then. Decommissioning actually on the ground. Would Russian troops be prepared to go in to help the process?
It will be an international effort. It will be a United Nations effort. I don't think that national troops will be brought to Syria, national contingents will be brought to Syria. It will be up to the United Nations, and it will be United Nations responsibility and United Nations operation under the auspices of the Security Council and on the basis of the Security Council resolution.
But would that include Russian troops? Would you be happy to see that?
It is not discussed in Russia at this point. So I'm really, I don't think I can answer your question, because there were no statements made by neither President Putin nor Mr. Lavrov. I think we are still not at the stage where this is being considered.